Clayton Byrd Goes Underground, written by Rita Williams-Garcia. Illustrations by Frank Morrison. Chapter 1. When Cool Papa When. Clayton Byrd kept his eyes on Cool Papa Byrd. Cool Papa had a way with his electric blues guitar, Rita. He could make her cry like no one else could. While the crowd waited for one last song, Clayton waited for the sign, and then it came. First, dead silence, and then, instead of picking true notes on the strings, Cool Papa hit a few ghost notes, thumping his brass thumb ring against solid wood. He slid his thumb ring's edge along the metal strings. Electric blues sparks jumped out into the night. The crowd in Washington Square Park ate it up. Hungry for the last bit of blues, the people clapped and called out, "Play that thing!" Those ghostly thumps, followed by twangy sparks, teased the crowd. But for the Bluesmen and Clayton Byrd, the ghost notes laid out the song. Everything from chords, their order, and who would do what. The Bluesmen knew their parts. Clayton Byrd knew his. Jack Rabbit Jones on keyboard laid down smooth chords with his left hand, while the fingers on his right hand hip-hopped across the 12-bar blues trail. Big Mike on bass walked the bottom bass line up and then down. Hector Santos kept the beat tight on percussion with two buckets, a brass hi-hat, and a snare drum. And Clayton Byrd on harmonica, a.k.a. the Mississippi saxophone, or what Cool Papa Byrd called the blues harp, drew in and blew out as much life as he could between the musical spaces the bluesmen left open for him. When rhythm and slow-burning funk cooked into the blues, Cool Papa Byrd spoke, sang, deep and high, raspy and smooth. Trouble, don't you find me. Trouble, leave me alone. I said, trouble, keep your distance. Trouble, you better leave me alone. Every time I think I kicked you to the curb, trouble, I turn around and find you hanging on. The wave of whoops from the crowd raised up into autumn air. It was like Cool Papa said, happy people need the blues to cry, and sad people need the blues to laugh. And while the crowd clapped, called out, and boogied on that last song, Clayton found an opening to plead his case. His silver blues harp wedged in his mouth, his head cocked toward Cool Papa Byrd, Clayton Byrd drew more air in than out, asking, "When, Cool Papa, when? When, Cool Papa, when? When, Cool Papa, when?" When? The last when blown into three pleading notes. Instead of drowning out Clayton's plea with Nita's full-body cry, Cool Papa answered back as only Cool Papa would. Cool, clear, but sharp. "Not yet, little man, not yet." Then louder, "I said, not yet, little man, not yet." Softer, "Not yet, little man, not yet." Wait. The bluesmen smiled and played on. They heard this discussion between grandfather and grandson many times over. Even though Cool Papa and Nita had answered, that didn't stop Clayton Byrd from hoping and waiting. All Clayton wanted was a 12-bar solo, not even the twice around the block solo that the other bluesmen played. He wanted 12 bars and to be a true bluesman among bluesmen. Didn't Cool Papa tell the crowd earlier that the blues was more than a song? It was a story. Clayton knew that, felt that. His lungs and soul were ready to pour out his own story through the 10 square holes of his blues harp. He just needed Cool Papa Byrd to wave him in for a solo. 12 bars. That was all. Clayton counted 24 bars to each man's solo. He kept his arms at his sides, his ears open, his silver blues harp tight between his left thumb and pointer finger. His head bopped a light, steady groove. He could jump into the stream of blues like a fish, since he was already in the musical swim of things. So when Hector Santos, the last bluesman, hit the brass hi-hat, 12 beats in a neat tight build-up to finish his solo, Clayton raised the silver harmonica to his lips, ready to draw in for that high pitch to start off his blues story. But cool Papa Byrd twanged in mightily and fiercely, told trouble to stay gone, and Clayton had no choice but to swallow the air for his solo and to come in with the bluesmen on those final blues chords. Each voice faded out. Keyboard, bass, percussion, blues harp, and blues guitar. The crowd went wild. Even better, every other person dropped some greenback love, as Cool Papa would say, down into Wawa Nita's open guitar case. Clayton kept cool, although he felt himself getting a little hot inside. He had to keep cool if he was going to hang with Cool Papa and the bluesmen. After all, his grandfather could have left him with his neighbor Omar's family, or with his father, who wanted to field foul balls or show Clayton his baseball card collection. Clayton did those things with his father once a month. Once a month was enough. Before it was completely dark, the bluesmen and Clayton boarded the uptown train with their instruments. They laughed among themselves and said the set was tight and the take was good. Clayton agreed, but his cool hand had worn off. Cool Papa, when do I get my solo? Yeah, Cool Papa, Jackrabbit Jones said. He's in the union. Clayton, show I'm in your union card. He meant his blues harp. The bluesmen laughed. Clayton smiled but didn't laugh. Cool Papa answered, when you can bend that note proper, I'll wave you in. For now, just play rhythm. You'll be all right. I can bend it, Clayton said. He raised his harmonica to his lips, cupped his hand around his blues harp, and sucked in hard to show his grandfather. Riders on the train roused from their dead gazes. You tell 'em, baby, one lady shouted. Big Mike cupped Clayton's head with fat, square fingers. It's coming, he said. Jack Rabbit Jones and Hector Santos agreed. Cool Papa disagreed. No, son, he said with a smile in his eyes. Not yet. Big Mike said, you gotta bend that note like you bend the truth. Hector Santos said, like you bend backward, especially when you don't want to. Yeah, man, Jack Rabbit Jones said. Gotta get that round the corner, back to tell the tale blues bend. Got to feel it deep down, in the gut, Cool Papa Byrd said. He patted himself somewhere between his heart and belly. That's when you know you're crying. Just before you laugh, one said. Sometimes after, another said. But son, Cool Papa said, a bluesman ain't a bluesman without that deep down cry. Clayton was full of questions and disappointments. His notes were good, true. He could reach high notes on one end of the harp or run with the train in the middle ones and draw in deep and way down for low notes. And he had a story, a blues story. When Clayton couldn't stand it any longer, he said, why I have to bust a gut to be a bluesman? Why I gotta cry to get a solo? Clayton's outburst sent Cool Papa and the bluesmen hollering. A few train riders chuckled. Don't think about it, little man, his grandfather said. Don't think too hard. One day or night, said Big Mac. It'll come, said Hector Santos. Just do what you're doing, little man, Cool Papa said. Look sharp. Be cool. When it rains down on you, you won't have to ask because you'll be crying the blues on that harp. Amen, said the bluesman. Amen to that. I hope you enjoyed today's Read Aloud. Please don't forget to support the author by purchasing their book from your local bookstore or wherever books are sold. I'll see you next time.